Welcome to another episode of Lost Like Mike. I am your host, Mike Gonzalez. And so thank you for coming by. I think this is like episode 80 something. It's really been therapeutic for me to be able to talk about what's going on in my life, and I hope, somebody out there is listening to it at one point or another. But the main thing is for me to get off my chest, and every now and then I remember why I'm doing it. So thank you for subscribing. Thank you for visiting. For messaging me at lostlikemike@gmail.com. A quiet neighborhood. Did y'all hear that? Zoom. That was a motorcycle guy on a motorcycle just hauling it down a quiet suburban neighborhood. I don't know. Y'all probably didn't even hear it, but I heard and saw out of the corner of my eye one of those, motorcycles going too fast. Anyway, I always think that nothing goes on until right before I hit record, and then I have all these things to talk about. So, everybody's gone right now. They all went to my wife and daughter went to a birthday party. I have a show to go to, so I can't go. But so yesterday I had a pretty good show. The thing of it is that I would like to just attribute a show to just good music, good humor, good times. But it always coincidentally happens when I happen to have a few drinks, And there was a lot of people, okay? First of all, we normally play early on Saturdays, so we're playing a little bit later because we were helping out the guy who plays on Saturdays. He had another show to go to, so we're hitting the ground running. The crowd is already pumped. They were already there. They're already used to live music. It was like they were primed already. But by the end of the night, it was like, we were slow on the tips early on, but people were cheering. They were getting into it. They were singing along, and I even had people coming up and singing on the microphone with me, things like that. But towards later in the night, all of a sudden, a series of events started happening, one thing after the other, that were funny to me. And apparently to everybody, and I started making jokes about what was happening. And it was like audible laughter. Like they were laughing at the jokes, at the funny things going on. And then it started really hitting with music. You finish a song and you would I was talking to the audience, and we were laughing, and it was a lot of fun. It was unexpected though, that level of interaction and fun. I think we talked last week about just horrible crowds and people that were indifferent, and today we have football games. Yesterday they didn't. So yesterday all they wanted to do was drink and party and hang out and make jokes and listen to music. Today it's going to be all about football. But, it's like I was saying yesterday, I could live off of that. That'll carry me for a good couple months. Where they have an experience where you look out in the audience and you're saying something and people are really paying attention and they're laughing and clapping and enjoying, themselves. It was, you could live on that for a good little bit if you're somebody like me. who enjoys it but knows the score. You know what I mean? It's also funny because I'm telling you, when my partner, my guitar player, my cousin, when he drinks, he says ridiculous, silly things. He does ridiculous, silly things. But if he doesn't drink a lot, he gets real nervous about me making jokes and saying things and whatever. It's so awkward. I said one F word on the microphone. You're not supposed to do that, first of all, because we're downtown. It's touristy. There weren't any kids, none that I saw. But still, you're not supposed to say bad words. But it went with the joke, so I said it. It slipped out in the joke, and then I made fun of myself for saying the bad word and whatever. And he was, he gets nervous or awkward about it. But like, if he had been drinking, it wouldn't even have been a thing. That's what sucks, because I'm gonna preface this by saying, I get kind of in my own head about it, and I've been contemplating like not drinking anymore. Like, I think alcohol affects a lot of aspects of your health, but the main one that I'm concerned with is memory loss and damage in your brain. And I don't know what the solution is, short of quitting drinking. The genetics are stacked against me, and there's different things that are against, that are telling me that I shouldn't, right? That I should get my health in order and do everything I can to maintain and strengthen the memory I have left and the brain function I have, right? It's a drag, but I do get concerned. And matter of fact, the other night, I think it was Thursday, I had one small drink, and then I said, I'm not going to drink. And then yesterday, I did have a couple, but it's like an internal debate that goes on between the pros and cons of relaxing and not, and kind of like letting your hair down and not being so tense, because that'll kill you too. And I don't know, a lot of it back and forth, but so that's been my big concern, because everything in moderation, right? But I don't live like that. I don't know how to do it. So I'll keep trying. I think something's got to give. I'm probably either gonna have to quit drinking or set one day a week where I could drink, or have a cap. But it's like smoking. I smoked for so many years, but that was my problem. If I was one of those kind of people, I'd always wanted to be one of those kind of people that, sit out in the back porch and at the end of the night and have a single cigarette and then be good. I just could never do it. I was a pack a day, and I couldn't. Even then, it was like that moderation thing I couldn't figure out. And so I know I have addictive tendencies, but I'm telling you, like, it's so true. Like, when somebody says, "Don't you think I would do less if I could?" I understand that concept. Where people say that it's not that it's that their capacity to stop themselves just is not there. And I can relate to that. That's why I don't do I don't do anything harder than that. I won't mess with nothing because I know myself. So believe me, I would really, really love to have a single cigarette every day. Or, like, yeah, one in the morning or one at night, something like that. Or two at night. That's it. Whatever it is. Oftentimes when I have dreams, I still dream of smoking. Like 10 years ago, I quit. But I'll still dream that I'm having one. But anyway, the reason I do not is not because I'm, I think one will kill me. I just think that if I have one, then it's like there's the floodgates. And you can't do it. I can't do it. I can't just have one. Anyway, so that translates to the drinking. I would like to set a cap and say, you know what, just 2 drinks a day, or not a day, at a show, 2 drinks maximum. But I had people buying me double shots, and I was proud of myself for not going and getting more and more. I just kept whatever they bought me and left it there and sipped on that and didn't get my own drinks because I get a certain amount free, and I didn't go, so I was proud of myself for that, but I also had to just leave, which is not cool. Like, I wish I wasn't having to just take off. I'd have to leave the temptation or whatever. But, so I'm compartmentalizing. It was a fantastic show. My voice was on it. People were having fun. People were laughing at my jokes and clapping after the songs, tipping at the end of the night. But, there was some alcohol involved, so I never get the credit when that happens. Okay. So I'm gonna share like this strange. I'm gonna chalk this up as a strange event, okay? And I'd really love to hear some people's thoughts on it because I don't really believe in coincidences of this magnitude. So I'll tell you the story, and then you can tell me what you think, or what it signifies, or why would there be any significance at all. I tried to remember exactly how it went down. The first part, I was laying in bed. I was dreaming about. I was falling asleep. You know what I mean? Like the way that you kind of wind down and start. One thing that I have that a phenomena that happens to me a lot is, and I've been trying to remember the word for it. It's like kind of like earworms, like where songs or parts of movies start playing in your mind. Usually one small section, and it repeats over and over. Like I mean, I can't even think of an example. I'm trying to think of one, but all right, like okay, random. I don't even know. I don't even think I've had this particular one, but it's a good example of one. Like if it was, you're laying there and you hear like the B-52s, like heading down the Atlanta highway, something like looking for a love getaway, right? Or and then you maybe hear that little bit, and then you hear like tin roof rusted, and then you're like try to blow it off, and then you shake it off, and then you're laying down, heading down. You hear it again, and then again and again and again and again. It's like a song that's just needling in your mind, and usually for me it comes in like a couple parts. I don't know why I give that example, but another one that I usually do is I try to say like like to throw it off, I'll sing like in my mind I'll sing like a part of a like back streets back. All right, it sounds random, right? But it for some reason it it puts a it interrupts the other song in such a way that like if I can disrupt it long enough, then I can fall asleep, or God forbid it happens first thing in the morning, because then you're like really trying to get rid of it with whatever you can. But I'll usually try to wind down, and I'll think of some things like I'll pretend to be starting a podcast, right? Like beginning an episode, and I'll try to focus on a lyric to a song that I'm trying to write or something. But on this given night, I was thinking random thoughts, kind of like a rabbit hole of thoughts. And I thought of, it sounds silly, but I thought of the town Luckenbach, Texas. It's a German town. I think it was a country song or something having to do with country music. I don't know. I heard it somewhere and it popped in my head. Luckenbach, Texas, right? And I was laying there and thinking about, for whatever reason, this random word, this random name of a town. And I started thinking, like, why did they not change the name to Looking Back, Texas? Because it sounds like that's what it says. Looking Back, Texas. I think that'd be an interesting name for that town, or for country song. Random thoughts, just whatever was on my mind. Okay, so that's the premise. That was the previous night. That was what went down. The next day, I was heading home after my day job, and following what I normally do is I call my mom. I say, see how she's doing. And my mom started in about how she likes my wife and she thinks that my wife does good things. And then goes on to talk about how I pretty much had a bad record historically with the women I choose to date or to get in relationships with. And I don't even think my mom knows a lot of the women that I've gone out with, to be honest. But she's known a couple of long-term relationships that I was in, and she said, yeah, a lot of bad seeds there. But she said there was one girl that was really good. I really liked her. And she started talking almost to herself about this girl that I used to go out with. And then she said, but you can't go back. She says, you can't go back. And she says, there's no looking back, Texas. And I said, what'd you say? She said, yeah, I'm just making a joke. There's no looking back, Texas. Mind you, she's never said that in all of my life. Never. She's never even said Luckenbach, Texas. We've never had a conversation about Luckenbach, Texas. And so for it to happen less than 24 hours later, it just seems so random for somebody not to talk about the same subject that I was talking about, but to say it, to reference the play on the name that I had just used the night before. It just seems so strange. And I try not to put weight on what we were talking about at the time, this particular person has had a strange connection. I'll put it that way. And I don't really like talking about them too often because it's almost like saying Beetlejuice a bunch of times. You know what I mean? I hope that they're doing well, and I hope that they're having a great life. It's just, yeah, it's just out of context. I'm just leave that where it leads. Anyway, so I just I thought that was kind of wild, and I thought it was notable to bring up here because you can leave it in the comments or message me at lostlikemike@gmail.com what significance you feel like that has. But that's not like somebody saying, I was just talking about Oprah Winfrey last night and you brought up Oprah Winfrey today. It's like if you was, it's totally different. It's so like specific. Anyway, although I would still comment the same thing if they were talking about Oprah last night. That's funny. One of my coworkers, one of my team members that I supervise, is having to quit. They have to leave the company because of like this very personal thing that is something's happening in their home life, and it's difficult for me because I don't know. It's just I feel for them and I pray for them and I hope that everything works out. And I have a lot of respect for somebody that's prioritize their family first and leave, do what they have to do to be there for their family. But there's a series of events kind of in general going on. Right before I started recording this episode today, I found out that one of my best friends from college, I say college, it was the first time I went to college. I've known him for many years. His father passed away. So my heart, my prayers, my thoughts are with him and his family right now. And his father lived a good, long, full life, but still, all the more reason to acknowledge a life well lived and offer condolences, even though you can celebrate his life, but it's still, he'll be missed. I mean, he always welcomed me in their house, and anyway, he was a good guy. But I know what it is to lose a father, and even though they live a nice long life and all that kind of good stuff, it still sucks for them not to be in this on the planet anymore. And my father-in-law is going through a lot medically as well, and my wife has had to go help out, and there's several things going on that sort of put the focal point on not only not only focusing on living your life to the fullest, right? But also the quality of life that you're living. I think about it makes you feel ashamed, or like kind of like that you're not doing enough with your time. That's always the difficult thing. Like right now, I feel able-bodied. I feel I've got some energy. I want to do things, and I know that there are people that would they would really wish that they could do those things. You know what I mean? So I said, oh, should I just kick it and take it easy today, or should I occupy every moment of my time with something productive or something significant? And that's hard, because I think that's part of the balance, is that even though we are able to do everything all at once, the argument is, should you burn it at both ends all the time, even though there's some that would kill to be able to do it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know. All I'm saying is that I feel lately a lot of pressure to shake off whatever lethargy I feel, and like just if there's fat shaming, I guess like lazy shaming myself into doing something. You know what I mean? Pushing myself to do more than what I do now. Although I do a lot. It's not that I don't. It's just sometimes I do like to indulge in a little bit of, relaxation. You know what I mean? Like after a long day, I just kind of want to just do nothing. When before, like at a time, it was like, okay, well, I'm going to work on the schoolwork, and I want to work on going to the gym, and then I'm going to write music, and then I'll find a couple hours of sleep, and then I'll get up and go to work and hang out with my family and do this. And I was packing every moment of every day, just there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's the way that you should do it. But I guess when I see all this, that's what I think about. I think about sitting there playing a video game or something, and they're like, well, you could be writing that follow-up kids book that you've been talking about doing, and you could be you're watching a TV show 20 minutes after you finished having dinner. You could be exercising and making music or whatever. It goes on, man. It's just, I started rewatching a show that I used to watch as a kid, called Northern Exposure. Matter of fact, I brought it up to a friend of mine, and I was like, when I would remember it, I always thought that I remembered a different show. I don't know. I watch it now, and it's like, it's funny and it's cute, but it's and it's not like it's dumbed down, but in my mind, I pictured like witty banter going back and forth with like, literary references and like, I don't know, pop culture sort of, and it's not. It's just a funny, kind of well written but not real serious take on small town living. But it's I even was talking to a friend about the show when I was just reminiscing about the show. I didn't even get the girl's name right when I was talking about her, the actress that I thought for some reason, I was convinced that her name was Dana Delaney, which is a totally different woman. I think her name is Janine Turner or something like that. That's actually in the show. Anyway, still one of my favorite shows. I'm going to order my K-Bear t-shirt, which is the radio station that's on the show. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad I'm rewatching the show, but it's like, do you ever remember something completely different than what it actually was? And if that memory is better than the reality, should you just leave it alone and remember it as it was? Like, I remember there was this girl, and I had talked to her years after we had gone out. And I made some comment. I told her that I cared about her so much that I let her go because I knew I wasn't right. Nothing was right. The universe was not in alignment for us to meet or to be together. But I said something to the effect of, because we cared about each other so much, that we were willing to make that sacrifice for the ultimate happiness for each other. And she very nonchalantly just said, I never loved you. I never really cared about you. And it was like, well, okay. Part of that, I think, might come from hurt, right? Like a defense mechanism to shut somebody down. But my point being that when looking back on it, would it have been better just to have my idealistic perception of history rather than know the truth, right? Or her version of it, or, I could have done without that knowledge. It would have been fine. Where you're having your earworms in the middle of the night and thinking to yourself, I really did care about that girl. I let her go, and she's in a happier place now, whatever. And not have the caveat at the end where it says, but she never loved you and she never cared about you. I could have done without that tail on that story. But I guess that's the ultimate. I don't know what's better, to know or not to know. Lie to me, right? That's what the song says. Lie to me. It's better to think like that. So powerless, though. The people that I know in my life that are suffering, that are going through medical ailments and things, and there's nothing I could do. Not people that are going through pain. You can be there. You can offer your time and anything they need. But ultimately, what can, it's a horrible position of powerlessness. It sucks to know that somebody is hurting so bad, and then you're not that kind of, you know what I mean? You don't hold that position in their life to be able to change it. You know what? I'm going to lighten it up. I'll tell you what. So I did mention that we have a second television in another room, and I mentioned that for Christmas. I don't know how or why they bought it, but they bought, for family fun, they bought, we were gifted a PlayStation. So we have 2 PlayStations in the house. And what I really want to impress on you today is, if you have a significant other in your life, if you have, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a wife, a husband, hell, a child, somebody. I remember they said, Mark Twain once said, if you really want to know somebody, travel with them, right? So another thinker uh, stated that if you want to know somebody, live with them. But I'm here to tell you, if you want to know somebody, then play duos on Fortnite with them. It sounds so stupid when I say it out loud, but it's true. You need to hook up 2 TVs and then play Fortnite duos. I'm telling you, I play duos with my wife. And I swear I don't recognize this human being. I'm like yelling into the headset, like the number of times that I've died or whatever, and she just left me and went on and did other things, you know. I was eaten up in the storm or something, and she just, oh, well, I guess that's it for you, and then took off the other direction. Or like, they call it looting when you're picking up things, and she'll come running by, and I'm opening up a chest, or I just killed somebody, and all their stuff is everywhere, and she'll bump past me and like steal everything. You learn a lot about the person, I'm telling you. Or if you like, hey, can we go this direction? I think it's safer. Hey, where'd you go? And then they're in the opposite direction, just doing their own thing. It's like my son's that way, where I played with him, and I'll be like, I'm in trouble, I'm surrounded, and he's like off the map in some other, complete different area, having ditched me completely. At the same time, on the opposite end of that, my wife will get very, she's mentioned more times than not that I am somebody awful at losing. I hate losing. I'll grunt or like, yell, or I almost want to. You ever seen those videos where they have big, like a bubble around the controller because the person throws it every time that they lose? I don't do that, but if it had a bubble around it, I would. No. I only ever started playing that game because my son didn't live with me. He lived with his mother. And I wanted to have an alternative for him to play, rather, where we could spend time together and talk on the headset. And, but for so long, I was so horrible at the different video games that he was playing that it kind of backfired. He never wanted to play with me because, it's frustrating when you're pretty good at a game and then you're having to hang out with your dad who, is a loser. So anyway, but it's also teaching us a lot about each other, and my wife and I, and we're getting better at communicating. So highly recommended if there was a story mode or something where there was a game where she and I could both be playing at the same time, I think that would be legit. Where you could problem solve with a significant other and like be able to share ideas and talk it out, and not be like, she's like, I can see the bad guys from where I'm standing, and I say, okay, I'm coming over. And she's all out in the open. And I'm like, why are you out? Everybody can see you. Don't worry about it. I'm just going to show you where these bad people are at. So then I come stand next to her, and then I get hit. They shoot me up. Never fails. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times And I'm like, dude, I told you we should stay hidden. Anyway, it's just silliness, but my daughter likes to play, but it's my favorite with her because all she wants to do is drive around the cars and, you know, swim in the water and jump on those things that shoot you in the air. That's all she likes doing. And I don't want her to be good at that kind of stuff yet. I don't want her to be all up on about that. Anyway, I did the yard work today. I'm always doing the yard. I mean, there's only so many days, you know, so much time in a day, so many days in a week. I don't have any days off, so I always have to do the yards before I go play a show. But then my hands hurt, my body hurts. But again, I can't complain. And I like doing my own yard. Like, I know my neighbor across the way, he used to do his own yard. I'd watch him, and he would watch me do mine. He has this thing now where he hired a guy, and he comes and does his yard. We got to talking about it one time. He's like, I'm just at the age where I don't really want to mess with that. I got better things to do with, you know, I'll go riding on my Harley or like just go do other things, you know what I mean? But when I was a kid, I remember my grandfather was working on cutting trees and doing the yards like well into his old age. And he loved doing it, and I do too. I think it's like I wouldn't want to give that up to somebody. But like today, I was just like, I was beat up, tired. I was doing too much, and anyway. So I'm getting ready for my show, and we'll figure it out. All right. I want y'all to have a good week. Please message me at lostlikemike@gmail.com. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the stuff we talk about on the show and thoughts of what's going on in your life. Maybe I'll comment on it. Maybe we'll talk about it. I know several have said, I'd love to have somebody to, you know, to conversate with as well. Coordinating that has always been an issue. So until then, I'll just keep chatting with y'all and talking. But like and subscribe. Hit me up with the comments or just send me a message at lostlikemike@gmail.com and I'll write you back. All right. Take care of yourself. See you around.